let's do one more off the top. And Rob, this one was interesting. This one is interesting. Now, we all know at this point, at least most of us know, that at one point, Darren Aronofsky, the great director, was lining up and preparing to do a Batman Year One movie for Warner Brothers. Now, that movie eventually got derailed. Not a lot is known about it and all that kind of stuff. Well, Darren Aronofsky recently made a little bit of a revelation. We know that he wanted to go really dark. So dark that even Frank Miller said he thought my Batman was too nice. That's what Frank Miller said about Darren Aronofsky's Batman plans. But Darren Aronofsky just gave a really interesting revelation. He said this, that as he was preparing to do this Batman movie, he wanted Joaquin Phoenix to be Batman, which I'll admit, listen, I love Joaquin Phoenix. He's a great, an Academy Award winning actor. He's amazing. I don't know that I see him as Batman, but be that as it may, Aronofsky knows what he had in his mind, so I'll just respect that. But while he wanted a Joaquin Phoenix to be Batman, Warner Brothers, says Darren Aronofsky, wanted Freddie Prinze Jr. to be Batman. They wanted Freddie Prinze Jr. to be Batman. Now, to which Aronofsky then said, it became pretty clear to me that Warner Brothers and I had very different ideas about the type of movie that we were going to make. Now, let me throw this out there. Because if you're like me, probably there's a lot of people all out there right now that had the instant knee-jerk reaction of Freddie Prinze Jr. as Batman.
I just did.
Yeah, the She's All That or whatever that movie was, the Scooby-Doo, whatever guy. I get it. But here's the thing. I want to throw this out there. And there's going to be a lot of people that won't agree with me on this, and that's perfectly fine. But let me throw this out there. It is very difficult to judge any actor when the majority of the films you watch them in are catered to a certain audience, right? So when you appear in films like Scooby-Doo, you're not going to get a gauge of what that actor actually is and really what that actor can do. When you watch an actor, I keep forgetting the name of that little rom-com. Is it She's All That or something along those lines? Yeah,
with Rachel Lee Cook.
That's right, who was gorgeous in that. But a movie like that isn't actually going to give you a good perspective of how good or not good of an actor that person is. And I want to throw this out there. Back in 2010, 2011, so almost 10 years ago, I will agree, I thought of Freddie Prinze Jr. as this, pop culture dude and whatever. And full disclosure, just so you know, I know Freddie Prinze Jr., so so understand that. So take that with a grain of salt. But this is true. 10 years ago, I had the same impression in my head that Freddie Prinze Jr. is this popular but just sugar-coated puff piece of a celebrity that there's not a lot of there. But then he appeared in a show I really liked with Kiefer Sutherland called 24. And he was awesome in 24. I really loved him in 24. I thought he was great. And that was the thing to me that I watched and I went, this guy's actually really good. And I never would have anticipated that or expected that just from watching him in that other stuff. But it's like Robert Pattinson, right, Rob? Like if all you ever saw Robert Pattinson in was Twilight, it's difficult to have any type of an assessment about how good or not good of an actor is he. It's not until you see him in some of that other material that you realize he's pretty good. And I'll tell you what, while I am not standing here saying, don't get me wrong, I am not standing here saying that Freddie Prinze Jr. would have been the next great Batman. He would have been better than Christian. I'm not saying that, but seeing what he's actually capable of when the material calls for it, I'm just going to say that there was a chance that this could have been another Heath Ledger situation. Because, when they cast Heath Ledger, everybody guffawed and go, what? If that guy is Joker? And look how it turned out. Now, I'm not saying that's what would have happened with Freddie Prinze Jr., but seeing what kind of depth of talent he actually has, I think the potential is there that maybe that could have happened, but I don't know. Still, it's fascinating to hear Darren Aronofsky saying that Warner Brothers wanted Freddie Prinze. Rob, you just heard this. What is your, kind of, what's your reaction to a story like that? Because this is another one of those great Hollywood stories, but what's your reaction to that?
Well, look, I've always believed that actors sometimes, like anybody in Hollywood, a lot of it has to do with luck. You could be tremendously talented, but if you don't get into the right project that showcases those talents, you might never get recognized and get the opportunities that you should have. And obviously, I've always liked Freddie Prinze Jr. and by the way, to tell you the truth, I have a secret love of She's All That, to be honest. That whole movie, I like it. But when you have a director who sees something in an actor and personally says, I want this actor, and that's not the case with Darren Aronofsky here, but I think sometimes you can strike gold because an actor knows what they're getting and they will step up and they'll do everything they can to throw themselves into that kind of work. Now, Aronofsky wanting Joaquin Phoenix is a very different vision for the Batman than, say, the Freddie Prinze version of that character. But if he was given that opportunity, he might have stepped up and knocked it out of the park, and we might have been given something we never expected. And I think a lot of the time, Freddie Prinze Jr. has been acting for quite some time. And in my mind, he's always given his all. It's just that the projects that he's been hired have never offered him or afforded him the opportunity to do something like playing Batman might. And I think it's always interesting to see what an actor could have done with something. If unfortunately we'll never know, but it's interesting to hear that was the case. I mean, and it's also interesting to hear that Joaquin Phoenix might have been Batman. And now that we've seen him play Joker, it's hard to imagine what his Batman would have been like.
And I'm so grateful that didn't happen, because if he had been Batman at some point years ago, we never would have gotten him in this Joker movie.
No.
Which the Academy Award on his mantle says is probably a pretty good thing that happened. Yeah. All right, guys. Question here is, what do you think about this? I'm sure probably a lot of you had the same kind of reactions, like, wait, what, Freddie Prinze? Is that where you're at? Or are you like me when I thought about it a little bit more and I thought about some of the really better stuff that Freddie has done before, that maybe there's a chance it actually could have been really special? I don't know. What do you guys think about it? It is kind of jarring when you hear it, but jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.